Pursuers, welcome to another episode of The Pursuit of Happiness. I am your podcast host, Naz Kazemi. I'm a little bit late getting to the Southern Charm recap, but let's get straight into it. This is for season 11, episode 4. So the last episode left off with Craig telling Austen him that he's unhappy, that Austen's unhappy, that everyone is... everyone can see it, that Austen, he's in a relationship that he's unhappy with and that he's jealous of Craig, essentially. I think everyone agrees with Austen at this point because you see everyone kind of like, Craig runs off by himself, but Austen is sort of just stays with the rest of the group, and everyone is agreeing with Austen at that point. They're like, your friendship is really based off of cheeky, witty comments and also sarcasm, but it seems like Craig can't handle it. And to be honest, Craig has never seemed to be able to handle it. I kind of understand Craig's point of view in the sense that I also get really offended when it comes to like cheeky sarcasm. Like I just like straight to the point, but I don't think Austen is being malicious. So I guess just looking at it from the outside in, I can see how Craig can get kind of offended. Okay, but I don't think that Austen is coming from a malicious place of trying to hurt Craig. I think it's just Austen is finding not able to find the words to communicate to Craig really how he feels, which I get into it a little bit later on. Another reason why I might understand how Craig feels in a situation like this is because I also have ADHD, and I know Craig does as well. And someone with ADHD, our brains, we don't handle when witty, sarcastic comments are thrown at us. We get much more offended rather than... Like, for example, and I know I just totally went off topic here, but like, not off topic, but I just cut my point and I cut to another point. If I were to go to a comedy show and I start getting picked on by the comic, of course it's just all in fun. Why would a comic actually want to hurt your feelings? They're just trying to like poke a little fun, have a good laugh. But I would be so offended to a point that I will always I will stand at the very, very back and hide amongst the crowd so the comic doesn't notice me. And I'm a noticeable person. Like, I know I try to blend in with the crowd, but until I'm in front of a comic, for some reason, like, I'm just noticed, you know? And it's never actually happened to me, but I can see them scanning the room and they see me, and then I'll, like, look at my purse, or I don't know, that's part of the reason why I don't like to go to comedy shows. And if I do, I don't mind if I get, like, the nosebleed section. I just don't want to be picked on when they do their crowd work. I'll be offended rather than, like, find it funny. And it's a hard concept for me to understand that people are laughing with me rather than at me. I don't know if that's also part of childhood trauma, because I was a hairy little Iranian kid that was picked on when I was growing up, you know? So, immigrant Iranian kid. So I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. I just don't like it. So again, seeing it from the outside in, I do understand that Austen is not trying to be mean. It's not an intentional aggression towards Craig, but I can see how when it lands, it doesn't land well with Craig, and so he reacts in an aggressive way. And his reaction is trying to hurt Austen. So that's just from the outside looking in. The next scene cuts to Whitner bringing out the food. It says that he's a lawyer, but he's not a litigator, which is, litigation is when there's conflict resolution. You try to like mitigate the situation, mediate it, etc. So that's something that I just learned, because I always hear like lawyer and litigation, you know. Counsel litigate, but I guess that's another, and I don't know how I didn't put two and two together, but for example, with divorce lawyers, you have a process of litigation where you kind of go through it and you try to conflict resolution, get to a place where you're not actually fighting, but you're kind of like able to resolve it, and then the lawyers present it in front of the court of law, you notarize it, etc., or you get it officially signed and you're officially divorced. So again, you learn something new every day. Then it's said that Craig gets away with murder because the group lets him, and I kind of agree with that. I do feel like Craig thinks that he can get away with it. But again, this ties into another thing that we bring up later on. Last year's reunion, which again, they showed the flashback later on in this episode. Everyone agreed that they get afraid of Craig. And part of it is because he's kind of unpredictable. He's unhinged. He's just kind of like... and it depends what mood he's in or which Craig you're going to get that day. Part of it could be his ADHD. Part of it could be his alcohol abuse, you know, or how he gets really too drunk, or he has things that he wants to say, but he just doesn't get off his chest. He's not able to communicate. There's so many things that could factor into it, but just the unpredictability of him makes people afraid of him. They just don't know which version of him he's going to get. So I feel like that's why the group lets him get away with stuff. And it also just could be that they just don't get as offended by what he says. It just doesn't mean anything to them, you know? But Vanita helped, like, I know Anita's a party planner, but she knew, like, everything about those pastas. That linguine with crab, oh my God, I had my mouth watering. I wish that I could be the type of person that could just eat pasta and nothing happened, but I ended up bloated. I had pasta a few weeks ago, and I swear I'm still suffering from the repercussions of eating it. It's just, my body does not do well with pasta. I heard that when you go to Italy, the pasta is different. I have yet to see because I haven't gone to Italy quite yet, but I just know that pasta, whether it's in Canada, the US, or Mexico, there's just something that is in the pastas that I cannot eat. Like, it just makes me so bloated, and I keep the weight on for like months. So that's that. Now, you see Craig trying to flirt with Charlie. She's just not that into it. She doesn't want to talk about work and the paintings and et cetera, et cetera. Although she does offer some advice because he does ask, what painting do you think that I should go with? And she's like, well, you know what? It's hard for me to tell. Like, generally, I have to check out the space that you're wanting the painting in. But then again, proceeds to say, I don't want to really talk about work. And you know what? I also don't blame her, like, not wanting to talk to Craig at all. Like, her woman boner is gone. He acted like a 3-year-old throwing a tantrum, and it's kind of unattractive. And then he looks to her and pretends like nothing's happened. Like, that's what with the freaking, what's it called? The eye makeup down to his freaking, like, it's covering his entire under eye. It's just like, Craig, like, you're not attractive right now, like, at all. Of course, then Salley gets jealous and she pipes in. So, ironically enough, Charlie's on his left side and Sally's on his right. So she's trying to get Craig to, like, apologize to Austen. But instead, I feel like Craig ends up provoking Austen even more. And then it's funny to see this because I feel like Salley really brings, although she doesn't want to, she wants to be like the voice of reason. She really brings out the white trash side of Craig. Where Charlie brings out this soft, innocent side. Like, Charlie does to Craig what Paige did to Craig. Like, really soft and innocent and wanting to be a better person. He wants to be this guy that has art pieces in his home, and he talks to her really nicely. But then Salley brings in this drunk, trashy side of Craig, you know? I believe this is where the flashback of when everyone says that, when Austen says that that he's scared of Craig because he is unhinged. He is unpredictable. He gets drunk, and no one really knows what he's going to do. And this is where Austen kind of, it showed the flashback, and Austen said, yeah, like, of course I'm afraid of him. Like, you could say, you're walking on eggshells around Craig. You know, you don't know what you're going to get. And I think that's why Austen is much more frustrated with the hypocrisy of Craig. I'm not going to drink. Okay, now I'm drinking again. Or I don't like this girl, but I'm hanging out with her. It's just like, he always says something and then he does something else. So that goes hand in hand alongside of him also being this completely unpredictable person. Like, he says something, but he has a different action to it. And it constantly changes, depends on who he's around. My perfect example previous with the Salley and Charlie thing. Like, he's with one person, he acts a certain way. He's with another person, he acts a completely different way. He's never being himself authentically. And as someone that's completely close to him and utterly the closest to him, which would be Austen, I can see how that could be frustrating for Austen. I personally do not understand how someone could side with Craig in this situation. Craig is completely wrong, in my opinion. So I've never really liked Austen previously in terms of, I mean, as a person of sure. I'm talking like comparable to the last episode that I watched of him. And in previous seasons, I've never really been favorable towards Austen. I was actually leaning on more the side of Craig, only because he had changed and he was being a much more mature person, but not this season. This season, and especially this last episode, episode 4, 1000% on Austen's side. So Molly called it. Salley is such a pick-me. And actually Rod backed up Molly, which I'm glad to see. And that just goes to show that when you're being honest about a situation, there's going to be people that are going to back you up. It's when you're starting to get dishonest that's not. Because Salley calls out Molly at the table and she's like, look, you've always been trying to say stuff about me And then Molly's like, actually, you're the one that said something about me. And then that's when Rod backs up Molly. And to be honest, Salley really had nothing to say at that point. But one thing I can say is that the dynamic between Craig, Austen, and Shep is the drama that people love about Southern Charm. It is based on the men. I think it's one of the Bravo shows that the majority is a men-centered cast rather than a woman-centered cast. And the drama, and these are the three main characters that have been on for forever. And I find that it's the most entertaining, especially when it's the three of them. When it's Craig and Austen, the dynamic is sort of like, is not as exciting as in when you throw in the third person being Shep, you know? Now, I do find Shep to be a good friend. I do. I think that he's there for his friends. Is he a shitty person? Sure. Is he Peter Pan? Sure. Does he not work? Sure. Did he treat Taylor like shit? Absolutely. Does he cheat on his girlfriends? Yes. As a boyfriend, complete shit. As a friend, I think that he's actually pretty there for his friends, to be honest. He can be the voice of reason sometimes, and that's kind of weird. So let's get into why I say that. Shep enters the chat because, well, Craig throws him under the bus, and Craig is yelling at Austen, Shep knows something about you that can destroy your life. So this is Craig yelling it out. No one knows anything. And now Shep is thrown under the bus, and Shep is like, this is so shitty because when I had told Craig this piece of information, Craig was the one that said, yo, don't say anything to Austen. Don't say anything to anybody. Just keep it between us because it's going to destroy Austen. It's going to make him spiral, and we don't want that. He's having a good time. He's in a good relationship. Let's not destroy it. Craig was the one that said that. But yet, he uses it at the first opportunity he can to not only maybe unknowingly throw Shep under the bus, but to get back at Austen however way he can, to just throw that jab and that knife right straight into his heart. And I find that that's when I say that makes Craig dangerous, and that's why people are afraid of Craig, because he does things like that is just unpredictable and unhinged. Whereas Austen throwing a stupid witty comment at him, it wasn't malicious at all. It didn't destroy Craig. This is destroying. But anyways, the alleged claim is that allegedly there was a threesome that happened out in New York because some girls came up to Shep and said, hey, your friend so-and-so, Austen, is reaching out to our friend, and there's something involved with another girl, and there's these two other girls. So obviously Shep, being the friend that he is, first he brought it up to the table. He's like, look, this is what that was. And then Madison's like, well, why would you go tell Craig? And then he's like, well, listen, Craig actually was the voice of reason when I heard this. He was like, let's not say anything. And then Madison's like, but do you not know Craig? Like, this isn't the first time that he said, let's not do this. And then he goes and he does the complete opposite. Exactly what Austen is trying to say. He's a hypocrite. Right? So see why it's full circle. And I really feel for Austen in this situation. This is exactly what Austen is saying. You say one thing, but then you go do something else. You tell Shep, let's be a good friend. Let's not bring it up to anybody or the group. But yeah, the first opportunity that you get, you're the one that brings it up to not only the group, but you do it to stab me in the back and throw Shep under the bus. Right? So then you have Craig chirping in the background like, I can't believe Shep's actually going to go tell him. Dude, you're the one that just brought it up to the group. You're the one that brought it up. Now, Craig would argue and be like, I did actually say what it was. I just said that Shep has a piece of information that will destroy your life. Well, you're on a reality TV show, my friend. And you know that bringing something up like that is just not going to go over well. It has to now be brought to the forefront. Okay? Because now it looks like you guys are hiding things not only from the cast, but the cameras. And there's an element of this that's still your job and you have to kind of perform. So, what an idiot. Anyways, so Shep obviously goes inside to tell Austen, like, look, this is what I had heard. And initially, I told Craig. And then Austen is upset. He's like, why would you tell Craig of all people? Do you not know what we've gone through with Craig? And Shep defends his behavior, although he does take accountability in the confessional, which is why I say Shep can be a good friend. You know, when it comes to being a friend, I think Shep is actually a good person in that sense. Like, he knows how to have friendships and be there for people the best that he can. But he says, look, Craig was actually the one that first said not to tell anybody. And Austen, you know, rebuts back and says, but like, this is the part of Craig that's unhinged that I'm having an issue with. It's like he says one thing and he does something else, which again, I'm completely on Austen's side with this. Again, Shep takes full accountability in confessional. He's like, it's my fault. I shouldn't have done anything. And Austen's upset. He's like, first you tell Craig, and then Craig uses it against me in a moment like this, and then you end up telling the whole group, which initially Shep didn't tell the whole group, but in that moment when Craig brought it out, Shep did come clean and tell. Like, I mean, Madison was sitting across from Madison's one of the closest people to Austen. He's like, well, this is what I had heard. And even Madison was like, I can't believe that you went to Craig, you know, to it. You should have just kept it to yourself, you know? Or just gone straight to Austen at that time. Feeling bad for Whitner in this situation because it's his first party in his new house after his breakup, and it was destroyed by Craig, frankly, because he can't take a freaking joke. I'm obsessed with Whitner, though. It shows him, so now the party's ended, but it just shows a day in the life of Whitner. He wakes up at 4:45 a.m. He has a cup of coffee, takes his dog out for a walk, or lets him go in the yard. Then he goes for like a 2 to 3 mile, I guess. I was going to say kilometer, being Canadian. Mile run, and then he comes back home. He meditates, and then he gets ready, and he goes with his dog Buckus, and they go to his office. And he's a lawyer. He's a commercial, I think, real estate lawyer. So I like that. I'm very fascinated and drawn to and inspired by and look up to people that are able to follow routine, because I try my hardest, and for the most part I do. And I show up every day attempting to, you know, follow my routine, but it doesn't always happen routinely, if that makes sense. So I'm very fascinated by people that are able to maintain it. And then he calls his mom. And his mom is living in France right now. She has a really beautiful place in France, which is really nice. I've always thought about that. I'm in Mexico now, and I want to kind of buy a place out here and live here for as long as I can. And part of that reason is like I'm still in North America. So if anything does happen, I'm really close to home. I can just easily go back home. My parents are getting older. My brother's still home, although they're coming to visit in a couple weeks, and we haven't even been here 2 months. But you know, I'm still close. It's not like a 2-day flight. It's just a 5-hour flight at the most. But I've always thought that once my daughter is old enough and she's in university, I'll still keep our place in Mexico. To be honest, and I'm digressing right now, but since I've moved here, I haven't really had the need to travel as much. When I lived out in Vancouver, I always just want to travel. I want to go somewhere hot, be by the beach. But now that I'm here, I'm just like, what need do I really have to travel? Because I have what I need. I have the hot weather. I have the beach. Do I still want to go check out other places? Of course. But it's not, the thoughts aren't as obsessive as when I had lived in Vancouver, you know? Now I'm more patient. I'm willing to wait it out and to build my life here. And I'm starting to realize what I always said to myself, that Turks and Caicos isn't going anywhere. The Maldives aren't going anywhere. France, Germany, Italy, Greece, Jordan, Petra, Turkey, Iran, they're not going anywhere. I just want to wait a little bit till my daughter's a bit older, because even now when we go for a walk in this hot weather, she's just like exhausted after an hour and a half. She's also quite young still. She's 12. So, you know, maybe when she's 15, 16, even 17, we can do a lot more of the Europe stuff. She's gone through the history of Europe now. Like, they still hadn't taught her that in Canada, but hopefully, like, as she goes on to grade 8, 9, 10, she'll learn a little bit more. I can even teach her, and then she'll have a little bit more stamina and endurance to be able to, because it's a lot of walking also in Europe, you know, it's warm weather. I don't want to go in the winter. I want to go when the weather's warm. So she's getting prepped by being in a country like Mexico, and also she's just a little bit older and a bit more mature, so we can do a lot more of that international traveling. So it's not that I don't want to travel, it's just that the obsessive thought about constantly traveling has become less now that I'm in an area that has the like white water beaches and the white sands, and Clearwater, sorry, beaches and the white sands, and it's more accessible, I'm willing to wait it out a little bit longer so I'm a little bit more established, a little bit more income, and then when my daughter gets a little bit older, do much more of that traveling, right? So back to Whitner and his mom, it totally makes sense. Her kids are older, because he does have a younger sister named Lala, which I find so funny. That I haven't heard that name Lala since I've been watching so many of these Bravo shows, and now there's like 10 Lalas. One being the Vanderpump Rules Lala, and now his younger sister Lala, and I think there was another one. I just watched a TikTok today. They mentioned the name Lala. I was like, now why is everything Lala, but interesting. Oh, the milk that we drink, the leche that we drink in Mexico is Lala. So like, just surrounded by Lalas. But anyways, yeah, so his mom living in France seems understandable. Her kids are older. She just kind of wanted a more quiet piece of life. And it's something that I see for myself as well. Europe or even Dubai when I get older. I want to establish a foundation there. I would love Dubai. Not because of the richness, but because of the newness, I'm definitely not a minimalist as much as I try. I'm definitely a maximalist. I will always be a maximalist. And I've gotten to a point where I'm okay kind of saying that, but it's just nice to see other people doing the things that I've always thought of, and to just know that it's possible and that it's okay to have those kind of dreams, and to be in a place where it's flashy. And I've always thought about France. I've thought about Italy, actually. I kind of want to live in Italy for a couple years when I'm older, and Spain, and those are the places I want to actually stay and just live and just strengthen my language, even France for a couple years. Hopefully the career that I'm creating for myself will allow me to make money wherever I am in the world, and I'll be able to follow my dreams. I'm manifesting it out into the world. It also shows Whitner's place where he lived when he was younger, like literally a compound, 500 acres. It's called Itchy Grass Creek or Manor. I don't know. I just know Itchy Grass, and then I said compound because he has like 3 cabins on there, 2 extra houses, plus the house that he grew up in. All this land, like it was stunning. Absolutely stunning. Which is funny because I always even asked my daughter, I always said, I'm going to find a guy that is from like the South, like the American South. Because I just love how, they, for example, Sweet Home Alabama, like they move to a big city, but then they always go back home and there's a farm. And I think what really made me fall in love with farmland, and this is going to be, again, I'm so digressed, but when I was watching The Walking Dead, season 2 is like they pretty much were camped out on Herschel's farm. That's when I was like, oh, I would love to have a place like that to just go back to, or to go there on vacations, like somewhere where it's peace and quiet, I even looked at places out here in Mexico, but I still need to be close to the water if I'm going to be here where it's like this hot, but I don't know, it's just how they survived on that farm during the entire season 2, I just was so attracted to that kind of life. Then after the whole scene with Whitner and his mom, it cuts to Salley chatting with her mom, and she was explaining how her and Charlie went to Craig's house to hang out in his hot tub until 5 a.m. And then her mom was kind of joking with her. She's like, oh, interesting. Was it a menage a trois? Like, seriously, though, like Craig has both of them in there. And then Salley kind of asked, like, in the confessionals, when they asked production, they're like, what kind of a man won't go after an attractive younger female who, like, knowingly likes him? And in my head, I was like, well, it's either a gay man or one who really doesn't want you but wants your friend, and she's also there with you. So she's not going to put a move on you because then the friend, won't go after him or won't do anything with him. And unless, like, it was a friend, like it was something that the other friend seems sleazy too. But I don't think in this case he's going to get both of them. So it's kind of, I laughed. I'm like, she really wanted this, and it's just not working out for her, Next scene is Charlie heads over to Craig's house with some new paintings. They're just trying to see if it fits in the space that he's chosen. Again, this is the part of Craig that Austen just finds so hypocritical. Like, okay, so now you want paintings in your home, and you're gonna go like, instead of just ordering something off of Amazon, now you're like this paint like the artist guru guy, and you want like a person from the art shop to come and help you. Like, I see it too, Austen. I'm on your side. It's disgusting and it's like annoying. Charlie says that she doesn't like when men play games. A man should just be straightforward, and I paraphrase that, and I agree. Like, Craig is just not being forthcoming. It's just, he's like beating around the bush. Like, just say it, Craig. I like you. I want to, hook up with you, or like, let's go on a date. But just having both the girls over in the hot tub, and then like, he's also, Craig is also like a pick-me. Like, he kind of wants like all this attention, but without like, he's being Austen, but with the girls. Like, he just doesn't have the words to say what he wants to say, or he's choosing not to. But it's just coming off completely wrong. And now it's sending a weird message to both the girls, because now Salley is questioning something on this side. Charlie thinks that he's kind of a bit of a weirdo on this side. It's like, your message is not landing. So just say it, just spit it out. She asks Craig about him and Austen, and Craig says that he did apologize, but thinks it's about Austen being jealous. And again, I think that it's just Austen attempting to call out Craig on his hypocrisy. He just hasn't found the words. But essentially what he's trying to say is, you're a chameleon. Whoever you date, you become. And it's becoming confusing for us. Like, he dated Paige, he quit drinking. He became this angel boy. Now he's single and he's an alcoholic again, and he has all these girls in his hot tub. The only thing that I fault Austen is that he's unable to find he's just not being straightforward about calling out Craig, and it's landing as if he's being witty or sarcastic. And I think that's just another way of him being able to express. Some people, it's really hard for them to be straightforward or to say what they need to say, especially if it's not like he's not angry about it. He just, sometimes people are much more straightforward when they reach a boiling point, and they just are furious, and they're just spitting out the words, then it comes out, or unless they're drunk or whatever. But for Austen, unless he's at that point, he can't find his words. It's evident. That's the fault that I give to Austen. Craig says that he's apologized, and then Charlie says, well, you should try to apologize again. Because Craig's reaction definitely did not fit the crime. And Craig 100%, and everyone noticed it, came from a place of being malicious. He wanted to hurt Austen in that moment. Craig throws digs to get his message across. Austen throws digs to get his message across. Craig maliciously tries to hurt you, to shut you down, because he's been hurt. And this is just both these guys not being able to find the words to actually say what they need to say. So then you have the scene with Molly and Shep meeting up to take their pets to the dog park. It's cool. They have artificial grass, and they serve alcohol, and the dogs just play, which I think is a good idea. I saw that, and I'm like, maybe I should open up that in Mexico. But, there's my ADHD brain starting something and not being able to finish. So I'll just stick to the businesses that I've started. He does tell Molly that he's been trying to reach out to Austen, but nada. And Molly tries as well, and still nothing. I think Austen is hurt by both Shep and Craig for many, many reasons. For Shep, he feels betrayed because Shep has complained about Craig, but yet turns to Craig when there's this vulnerable information allegedly about Austen that's being said. Austen feels like Shep should know better at this point, and why go to Craig of all people, And then he's upset with Craig because he's like, you always say one thing and then you do something else. And the perfect example would be this information that Shep did go to him with. You're the one that said, don't bring this up to Austen. It's going to ruin him. But the first chance that you get, you didn't even allow Shep to be the one to say it. You happily brought it not only to the group, but to Austen's attention. And it's just a betrayal. And I totally understand more so how he feels with Craig. With Shep, it's just you should know better type of thing. but nonetheless feels betrayed because it was sort of like an ambush in that moment. Like he wasn't privy to this piece of information, yet they've known for so long. They've known long enough that Craig was able to use it against him at that point, So yeah, I feel him. The last scene of the show ends with Austen. He's getting these 2 cats. So Rod actually delivers the cats to the house, the kittens, calls them pussies, which is so funny because Rod is the gay friend. And Madison heads over as well to chat and to support him. And I 100% agree with Madison when she says that Craig was doing so well. She was looking up to him. She's like, wow, like you've changed your life around. Your work is your priority. And now you're with Paige and you've like slowed down on the drinking and you're doing so well, working out. But now he's going backwards and it's just hard to watch, I don't necessarily agree with the fact that she said that it ruined her and Austen, because I think that as friends, they both were just noticing how toxic that relationship was. I mean, everyone that's watched the show has to admit that Madison and Austen together was completely toxic. Were they in his ear chatting with him? Of course, they're his friends. But they didn't ruin something that was good. They didn't ruin anything. Madison and Austen ruined Madison and Austen. They were just pointing out the obvious that Austen didn't want to hear, But I do agree about everything that they both, Rod and Craig, and even Rod and Madison and Austen said about Craig. That Craig is very self-serving and he doesn't give a shit about his friends at all. He really doesn't. He only cares about getting a girl and being with that girl and being what that girl wants and shaping himself into whatever form that he needs to be so he's able to get what he wants for that time being, And then that ends that episode 4. I saw the previews for the next couple episodes. It seems like there's a big blow up between Molly and Salley. And Austen doesn't seem to be in much of that episode. There's a pool party and he takes off to go see Audrey instead of staying with the group to do this pool party. And Craig seems confused by it, but Shep totally understands. He's like, why would he come and hang out with us? He hasn't talked to us and he's upset by us. So excited to see what the next episode holds. Southern Charm is really good this season and just started like literally first episode just got right into it. And I like how they do that. Like I like how they take a really dramatic scene and they put it in the first episode, and then episodes following are just, they backtrack to see what led up to that big explosive moment. It kind of gets the viewers hooked a lot more than just building up to that climax, So anyways, that was Southern Charm, Season 11, Episode 4. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry it's a little bit late this week. I will be back with Beverly Hills and Salt Lake City. Have a good one.